Mike McGetrick, he is the principal of creative and interactive at Spark451. He is a good friend of mine as well. We're able to go to some conferences together. And one thing, other than giving a phenomenal presentation he's about to do on building a dynamic web presence, Mike is actually a hip-hop aficionado. So I don't know if he's going to be dropping bars on stage or not, but catch him off stage and he might be able to drop some bars for you. So without further ado, let's hear it for Mike.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. It's very bright out here. So thanks for coming to this session of building a dynamic website with Element451. It's a great follow-up to our previous session on Discovery Bot, and I'm going to talk about some practical ways of implementing it. I've had a chance with my team to work on it for a few weeks, so I hope to give you a few takeaways to bring back to campus, either for yourself or your technical teams. So I'm with Spark451. You may notice that we have 451 in our name as well. And there's a reason for that. There was a time when Element451 and Spark451 were together as one company, and Element451 spun out as its own company many years ago, and of course has thrived. And the two companies are completely separate, but we maintain a really close partnership. I call ourselves the 451 family. And we're just so pleased and so amazed at how well the product is doing and how the team is doing. So just awesome to be here, and thanks so much. So I've done a lot of .edu websites in my career, and all the work that we do for helping schools increase their enrollments, enhance their brands. And in that time, our whole philosophy has been about making marketing more personal. How can we connect what we know about the student with what's great about your institution and get that information to them, communicate that to them with the right message, to the right person at the right time. That's what we're always aiming for. And when we do websites, we want to make that experience as well. And so bringing the web and the CRM together is something I'm kind of obsessed about. And I hope you will be too when you get back to campus. So with that in mind, how many people here are in the midst of a website redesign or planning one? Quite a few hands. How many of you wish you were doing that right now? Okay, quite a few more. So this will be some helpful takeaways when you're thinking about implementing Element451 and your website together in your redesign or even just your current maintenance. So I want to start with this. I saw a presentation recently at one of our company events by this retired general named Keith Thurgood. And he talked about being a transformant organization. And his thesis is that if you're hitting your short-term goals, but not transforming at the same time, you're merely surviving, right? But if you're not hitting your short-term goals and not changing, you're dying, like we've seen many institutions do in the last 3 years. If you're transforming but not hitting your goals, you're just flying around, flailing, if you will. But if you're hitting your short-term goals and transforming at the same time, you're thriving. And that's where we all want to be as an institution. And I really see that in the Element451 customer and client base. You all want to be different. You want to do things better. And I'm sitting here, there's a lot to take in over the last few days. Like, it was a lot of technology. The AI stuff is a lot to handle. But is it worth it? Of course it is. And because we need to transform while hitting our short-term goals, bringing those student classes. And we need to continuously get better each year. And coming here to engage is going to help us do that. So let's talk about the current web landscape. What are some impressions out there? We do an annual survey each year to college-bound students and parents. We ask them questions. This is at the end of their college search process in the spring and summer. And so this question, which of the following resources did you obtain information about your preferred college or university? And what's number one on the chart? Website. What's missing from here? What do you think is missing? Based on our whole conversations for the last 2 days. AI, right? Yeah, because we conducted this survey we started in the spring of last year, and it really wasn't that big on the radar. It was just starting to get on the radar. ChatGPT came out in November 2022. Students started using it in the spring. So of course, we're in the midst of doing the 2024 survey, and that'll be a big part of it. But website, of course, is number one. So it's a big part of our college search process, right? And when I think about higher ed web, there's a number of concerns to keep in mind. This is the hierarchy of needs, if you will. At the bottom, we have, of course, the foundations: accessibility, data security and privacy. We have mobile-first engaging design. We need to have that. We need great quality interactive content. We need some great SEO and analytics to be findable. And at the top of the list, our top of our hierarchy of needs is being personal, right? Being personalized. I look at the bottom of this and say, these are things that can help me not get sued, right? I need to be accessible, and I need to make sure I'm obeying new privacy laws. We have state-based privacy laws in New York and California. And so I won't get sued if I do those, and I'll get more students if I do those. I'll be better at it. So I keep this hierarchy of needs in mind to get to the actualization of being more personal. And that's what we're all about. So we do a lot of work with students, asking them what they think about particular websites, and we aggregate these surveys and data points together. And they tell us we need work. Things that are very relevant to our conversations about AI, right? I can't find what I'm looking for. When I do find something, information's too old for me. Or I just can't understand it. It could be clearer. If you have a complicated process about applying, about financial aid, it's just something I can't understand. It should be clearer. A big one, lack of visuals, specifically video. They want to see more, experience more, and get more time-based information from you. And so, I want you to keep this stuff in mind as you think about implementing things like bulk discovery. Can I solve some of these problems, giving better answers, having more accurate information, using the AI tools that Element is giving me to make these problems go away, or at least make them go down a bit. So what are they looking for on websites? What kind of content are they looking for? Top of the list, both for current students, prospective students, majors and minors, cost and financial aid, student clubs and organizations, almost identical across the board to both. So I look at these and say, am I eliminating or unexposing the unnecessary information on my website to expose the information that is what my students are looking for and my families are looking for? Also, when I implement bulk discovery and I start asking these starter questions at the bottom, where do I start with my starter questions? What are the most important things, most common things people are looking for? So doing some research and survey work like this can really help you set the foundation and plan a successful rollout of bulk discovery, understanding what the students are looking for. So how can we make our sites better and be a little more dynamic and personal by integrating your CRM with your web? Let's look at a few things here. This is not an official Element slide, it's my slide, considering Element as the ultimate .edu website companion. Things that it can do to make your website better. Landing page and lead capture, its great workflow engine, behavioral marketing, the awesome chatbots and assistants, the event marketing that it does, something we do with web targeting. We can actually push segments of individuals to retarget them, of course. And then I'm calling bulk discovery here, in this case, enhanced search. Now, all this is powered by the AI engine that's feeding into your website as a knowledge base, right? That's going to form the foundation of your knowledge base. The analytics portion of Element, enabling you to show and pull what pages people are looking for, and being able to segment that by the funnel stage of the student, for example. What are my inquiring students looking at? What did my enrolled students actually look? What are the pages that my enrolled students looked at the most? What were most influential? All this extremely helpful. For the sake of this conversation, though, I'm going to focus on 4 things. The landing pages, web flows, workflows, and behavioral, event marketing, and then how we do enhanced search with Bolt Discovery. Of course, on the bottom right, you have the standalone microsites feature of Element451, which allows you to create fully personalized websites, web experiences. Of course, they're logged in experiences. So with those, you have the ability to actually target specific content to people within specific segments, which becomes an incredibly powerful opportunity when people are further down the road. We typically use them for admitted students, admitted student microsites, when I really want to bring the person closer to me into my community and give them the most personal experience I can at that moment. All right. So let's talk about some experiences with Bolt Discovery. I don't want to repeat everything that was done for the last session, but I'll say a few things about it. We were able to experiment with it for the past few weeks, implementing it on some marketing landing pages. So here's one example for the Icahn School of Medicine, the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences. They have a campaign going on. So this is their site. The Bolt Discovery is implemented here. You'll notice that we've got some starter questions at the bottom. So I think I can see. There we go. So I'll hit that. You've seen some of these before with Eric and Petter. Listing out the programs, what's available, and we have individual marketing programs going for each one of their program segments. So we've created individual Bolt Discovery for all of these landing pages on our Pages feature, right? So I've got questions such as, are you interested in applying, et cetera, the follow-up. And we've connected our form to the Bolt Discovery that's allowing us to capture the lead in real time in the moment that we want it. So they've actually just recently added this feature, which is amazing and something we can really look forward to experimenting with as we're looking to implement Bolt Discovery in marketing. And of course, something I'm looking forward to implementing across tons of websites that we work with. All right. So thinking back to the pie chart where students were saying, I really can't find what I'm looking for, or I don't understand it. I think Bolt Discovery gives us some really good advantages there to solve those problems. Being able to summarize complex amounts of information into a quick summary that the student can understand. Having more up-to-date information, right, that you can refresh a page on a cadence. And just really having a cool experience that students are going to feel good about, and having advanced tools they can work with. So it's really simple. As I mentioned before, if you're embedding on your website, it's a quick script that'll drop in any page and start working. And step two, of course, building it within Pages after you've got your knowledge base together. And the experiences are identical in both, so super easy and super fun to work with. We ran some A/B tests with this using pages that didn't have it and pages that did have it, and we experienced a 30% increase in engagement as Google Analytics defines it, right? More engagement, more clicking, more scrolling, more conversions. So a couple of things, definitely connect those lead forms to Discovery. You don't want to miss that opportunity. You can do lots of testing with the knowledge base, looking at the threads. You can look at every single thread and read it and understand it. Certain data that you have may need some reformatting to be understood, cost data, tabular data. And definitely, you want to, as marketers, we want to measure the effects of this, right? We want to have specific information that we can work with. So we, of course, can connect this to Google Tag Manager to make that a little more available. So I'll show you quickly on that so you have a quick takeaway for that. We have the ability to map all of the elements of the Bolt Discovery to a Google Tag Manager event. We will do things like we'd want to actually know what button they clicked on, so we add a parameter for the click text, And with that, set up the event to work. These slides will be available too. When we implement it, we can actually wind up seeing the events, and you'll see in the bottom there it says Bolt Click, which is the event we named. And because we had the click text in there, we can actually see which button they clicked on. Programs, cost of attendance, application requirements, etc. So you'll be able to look at this by the page that it's on, which one of those little starter buttons they clicked on, and do lots of work to understand its effectiveness for you. All right, so definitely consider doing that. All right. This is exciting for analytics people. Really understanding. All right. So let's talk a little bit about landing pages and lead capture. Totally awesome feature. When Element451 originally conceived of landing pages, the idea was that we are merely going to be using them for marketing purposes, right? When we send people to our website, they kind of click around, they go to different places, they're doing their own research, and they may not do what we want them to do, which is to enter our funnel by inquiring. So landing pages are special purpose pages designed for that, to bring them further through. So with that in mind, it's just an awesome tool for lead generation campaigns. And of course, the Element Form Builder is, I would say, among the best in its class. The ability to have two-part forms, so I can have the minimal amount of information to capture them initially, but then enhance that by either having a second part to it or sending them back again for another bite at the apple. And of course, they announced yesterday that they've added subpages to this, so we can have multiple pages within a single landing page entity, which they are calling sites. And you'll notice that they've added another component header that actually has a navigation element at the top. So that the top buttons, I think that's also the bottom component there has one button in it, but you can add multiple buttons at the top, and you could also link that to your Bolt Discovery engine. So lots of awesome stuff there. The forum engine, as I mentioned, is awesome. Definitely things I recommend are when you're doing a redesign, make sure that you have forms on every one of your academic landing pages. When we implemented a redesign for a graduate school, they had no inquiry forms on their landing pages for academic programs. When we added forms, they increased their leads from those pages by 50%. So make sure you're having them there on your redesigns. One other thing is a pro tip about pages is that you have the ability to add tokens to email links. Eric was showing about tokens with Bolt Discovery, which I thought was amazing, by the way. Being able to actually insert a question that you could email to somebody or a list of questions that will link out to them is totally amazing. But this is another really cool feature which allows you to put an individual's token, individual code into a string for an email or any other link and send them to a landing page, an element page, and it'll preload their information. So, two great uses of this are when you have a list of, let's say, new students, student search students, being able to preload their data in Element and then having them complete their inquiry form, declare their major, giving you additional information. Great work for that. If you want to get enhanced information about a student, let's say you're building more in-depth personas, want to know people's motivations, and you don't want to ask that on the first time they fill out a form, you want to get that in the future. So being able to use a landing page token to get that going for the second round and pre-filling their information and letting them do a two-part, really awesome for that. So great integration between marketing and your web presence overall using Element as the middleman. All right. Workflows and behavioral marketing. So workflows are an awesome tool within Element. They allow things to automate, right? Behavioral marketing refers to the fact that we are reciprocating someone's actions. Someone goes to take an action on one of our web properties, and we want to respond to it. So, you think about it this way. You send out a series of communications. Let's say you have 10 emails that go out over a certain period of time, 1 per week. Week 2 might be financial aid. And people are receiving that on your terms, on your schedule. But if they go to visit one of your web pages about financial aid, that's probably a better time and opportunity for you to send a message out to them because they're actually interested in it in that moment. And Element allows us to do this with its behavioral marketing features. They have, of course, the Element Pixel that tracks every page someone goes to. And with the workflow engine, we can trigger an email to them in that real time. So an awesome connection between the web and Element. So how does it work? You have your tracking Element Pixel, implement it on your website, a quick code in your tag manager. You're able to use their profile to view their activity, view what web pages they're going to, build a segment out of that, and then build emails that go from that with dynamic communication. So quickly looking at it, Element stores all kinds of behavioral data, which is awesome. In this case, we're interested in those web page views. So the Google Tag Manager serves up the pixel, sends the data to Element. When that person's in our database and the identity gets stitched together to it, and now all the activity that the user takes place on any one of our web properties, whether it's an Element site, a landing page, or our .edu website, will get tracked and stitched together. And we can respond to that behavior. We can create a segment for a person who's viewed a particular page. We can put a delay on it, usually 24 hours, so we're not looking very creepy, and trigger a communication to them. So the results of this are astounding the difference between an email that goes out on our schedule versus the email that goes out in response to the person's activity on our website. Usually double the open rates and 8 times the click-through rates. So it's just being more contextual, being more relevant, and being more timely. So another awesome connection between the web and Element. All right, events. The last one I want to touch on. How many people think events are important for their enrollment activities, right? Okay, great. All right, if you're going through a web design right now, I encourage you to really think about integrating your Element event feed into your website in a number of spots, because they're really important, right? If someone comes to your campus, visits your site, it's going to be another great opportunity, great indicator that they have interest, and an opportunity for you, your faculty, fellow students to talk to them. We got a great event manager, and it has great tools for managing and lots of cool integrations. Element gives you an event portal that's in its own area, right? Might be called events.edu, something like that. So that's out somewhere in the event, in the Element ecosystem. You want to bring it into your .edu. So there's a couple of ways to do that. These are some technical ones. We have the ability to ingest the JSON feed from Element. So it's a feed that's constantly going out, and you can have your developers read that and bring it in the same way you would bring in, let's say, a Google Calendar and refresh it on a regular basis. The other is the Element451 API. The event entity is exposed there. So you can bring in all those elements, all those events from Element and publish them on your website with some technical help, of course. There is, however, how many people here are on WordPress? On WordPress? Okay. And there's one more solution that's slightly easier, but we'll get to that. So this is, you're looking at your Event451 portal for this school. This is actually just bringing in the events using the API. And the final solution to this, maybe if you're on WordPress, it's a very easy one. And that is there's a WordPress events plugin So if you have WordPress, you can implement this events plugin written by us. It's free to download from GitHub. So if you do search for Element451 events plugin, it's available for you to download and start today. There's a couple of quick API strings that are very easy to get to. Just ask your customer success specialist for them. Drop the code in. It's a short code. You drop it on your website, and the events will populate. It uses a featured events thing too. So all your featured events will come first. And it's really handy. So I encourage you to download it and start using it. All right. So as I come to the end here, I reflect on the first slide about being a transformant organization. The web is changing, and thanks to AI, lots of things are changing. So we have to evolve along with it. And I really think that Element451 as a CRM is the ultimate companion to your website. And I encourage you to look at these connections and others to make that even more powerful. I think you should move toward making everything more personal, more timely, and more connected to who you are and what you know about that student. Always about the right message, the right person at the right time. And finally, as I reflect on the past couple of days of AI, I think that the AI element knowledge base is going to be a really powerful tool for you. And look at your website as the core of that, and building really awesome content is going to be the engine for making that really powerful. So that's it for my talk. I'd be open for questions now if anybody has them.
Anyone have questions? Mike, come on now.
So we're running WordPress.
Nice.
Are people moving to use the microsites and for their entire website? Are we heading that direction with this? You still have the functionality you need in your core CMS there. So
Yeah.
could you explain how to bridge that a little more?
Sure.
And any examples maybe we should look at?
Great question. So you're definitely not replacing your core content management system with Elements pages. I would look at it this way. You have your web team that has a certain amount of cycles and hours available per week to help you. The Element451 pages system is there for you to have special purpose needs, for your team to own, to build individual web presences. Using the multi-page system, let's say you have an event you have going on that's a little more complex, that you might need an agenda page on. You might need a things to do page. Look at it that way, like something that your internal team can use to build a web presence quickly. It's never going to replace your core website because you're going to want that for the brand, you're going to want that for SEO and findability. Look at the pages module for special purpose. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
All right, cool.
You're blending those two, for a seamless experience, I see.
You are, but probably at a separate subdomain. Yeah.
Hello. You talked about the websites, and if a student hit a website and we'd send them an email. Is there a way to set it up to where if the student hits the website multiple times, it can either change the email or just not send them?
Yes, we definitely have workflows that deal with that. Erin here, by the way, is my Element451 power user, and she sets up these workflows all the time. So yes, we have constraints for that. If they hit multiple pages, we don't want to send out 6 different reciprocating emails, right? We want to space those out. So we set up workflows that handle those delays, do not repeat them. If they've received this email before, they're not going to get another one. So yes, the answer is you can set up all those kinds of constraints. Element is very, very flexible for dealing with situations like that. And great question, because you wouldn't want to be sending out 6 emails all at once, yes.
I may be old school, but if we're sending out emails that they haven't requested, does that affect spam or can requirements? Do you know what I mean? That they didn't ask to have an email sent to them, but then we're just doing it and.
Okay, so you're talking about a person you never emailed before reaching out for the first time.
Right,
Yeah, so the law on that is that you're allowed to email a person unsolicited as long as you have the full address of your institution at the bottom and you have an unsubscribe button as well. So yes, you're still compliant as of now. That could change at some point. In Canada, that is not the case, though. Canada, you're not allowed to do that. US, still allowed to do it. We're very pro-commerce here, very pro-commerce. All right.
Awesome. We're good. Thanks, Mike. Everyone, round of applause for Mike.
Thanks, guys.